before I was presented, so I don't need to do it again. My area of specialization, not good. First time that I said it in just one time. It has been monitoring and value stream, so I will share a bit of my experience around doing what I consider good monitoring. And the majority of this, firstly, probably will be a surprise for you. It will be very little technical. It's a lot more all about the good practices. And secondly, there is a lot more to cover, but we only have 5 minutes. Okay? So let's get started. First, who of you consider that you already have good monitoring in place? Okay? Who of you starts doing monitoring by talking with the business? Okay? Who of you consider that you have enough visibility of what is happening in your IT system? Okay? Don't put all your hands in the air at the same time, okay? So here we have an example of something that is a good monitoring. When you have a life to save and you want to see it, you want to have a good system that allows you to perceive if that person is healthy or not, or how it's evolving through the time. So the question starts a lot with what is monitoring, and in particular, what is IT monitoring? And for a lot of people, IT monitoring is looking for the CPU, the memory, the disk. But the sad truth, it's more than that. You can do a lot more. So monitoring is all about, firstly, collect data from your systems, okay? And put it all in a central place, preferably. It's a good practice to do it. Next, if we have data, so we want to observe how can that data be used through time. So we can do something that we will speak in the next slides. And yes, in the end, we can have alerts. That's something everyone wants to have. I want the SMS on my cell phone. I want the Slack message. You can have all that, okay? But first, think on the data that you want to collect. Speak with your business so you guarantee that you are collecting the data. Then put it on a system where you can observe that data. And in the end, when you recognize the pattern, you can do effective monitoring. Let's go to restart some of this. Firstly, and I will make you a challenge, try to see where are the mistakes, the English mistakes on my presentation, because yesterday I saw it 5 times, I didn't saw any mistakes. Today I found 5 already. So, firstly, the myths. Okay, don't ask bulletproof. There is no bulletproof monitoring. You cannot monitor everything, know exactly everything. You can use Kafka, you can use Elasticsearch, Splunk, whatever, big data. You cannot monitor everything. We are humans and we have flaws, so we cannot think in everything that we need to collect. Of course, we can improve. Secondly, because of all this, there is no perfect system. So it's all about the balances and the trade-offs. You need to understand this, your managers need to understand this, your developers need to understand this, the business need to understand this. Because there is a cost. As you try to make a more effective monitoring, you have to pay more to do more. Okay? You have to pay more storage, you have to pay for the resources, for the big data tools. So if you want a more perfect system, you have to invest a lot more. And in the majority of the cases, probably you will not have a business case. You will invest too much for the return that you will have in the end. So how to do it better? Okay, wrong button. Firstly, it's everyone's responsibility. Okay? Business, devs, ops, and this new term, I went to a party, we said that we were the DevOps team, and the guy wrote like this, okay? So, firstly, we are considered unicorns, and there is no unicorns, just some startups, but even that startups are not truly unicorns in the sense that they are not magical. What is true is everyone has to collaborate around monitoring. So you effectively know what you are asking, what you will receive, what are the trade-offs. Secondly, you have to understand your system. If you are making a query to a relational database or even a non-relational database, you have to understand how things are connected, so you know where you make the joins and all these kind of things. So if you are monitoring, you have to understand your system, how things are connected, what are the dependencies, you should be expecting from that dependencies. This means that you also need to understand the behavior, how they communicate, and so on and so on. Then, if you don't know it, and a lot of people receive things to monitor that they don't know how to operate it, go to learn it. Yes, you need time to invest to learn it, and you need to practice. I was a basketball player. I had to practice several hours to do things so simple as pass the ball behind my back. So if you want to have a good monitoring, we should also always assume that it's just a matter of next, put an agent, and we have everything on place. It is not. The first questions in monitoring is the questions that you want to get answers, okay? It can be as simple as this first two, okay? But if we say that we want to know if my system is available, then we need to define what is available. It's available all the time. It's available just when we are not making changes. It's available in the weekends, our work hours, and so on. We need to go deeper. Again, what means my system is performant? What do I need to control? And what means that my system is working as expected? In general, the business comes to us and please monitor my system, and if something is wrong, tell me what is wrong. Right? So, if we start with the questions, we will have the ability to put things and numbers on things. And the numbers can be in the form of service level indicators, service level objectives or agreements, can be operational monitorings like 90% of the time on work hours, can be performance, that my request has to be served in 19% of the cases in less than 2 seconds, and can be errors. I cannot have a spike of errors in the last 5 minutes that is bigger than 25% of the usual, and these kind of things. Also, in general, the business don't want just to look for the IT monitoring data. They want to perceive how their application is being used. So it's very important. Do you really, Mr. Business, what do you want? Do you want to understand how much time each session takes? How your user are using your application, how is navigating through it? Okay? If you want, then, if you want to do it, you need to clarify what you want, so we can think on getting the data to it. Then, of course, we should do it for all the layers of our IT systems. And the best practices is start from the top to the bottom, not on the CPU, memory, disk. If you start by this part, you will neglect the rest of the parts. And in general, what matters is that the user, when you are using the app, they have a good experience. If the experience are degrading, then we will need to go where are the root, to know where is the root cause of that. But it's not the end goal. You can have a spike of CPU and the end user are not having any problems, or the contrary is also possible. Use all the data that you have available. In general, all the systems allow to have any kind of metrics, logs, events, or even what the industry now is calling traces. Okay? Finally, if you don't have the data, then you need to create it. One way to create it, probably it's using that open framework, but the most important part, again, the business might make a question, or the IT, you check, you don't have the data, so let's instrument our application in a way that we can collect that data and generate, so we can answer to our questions. And of course, leverage the industry's best practices. Google has SRE, we will have a talk next month about this. They talk about these 4 golden signals. If you use this, you can map almost any request in terms of monitoring. Follow the industry best leaders. We have several. Okay? And of course, talk with the community. We are all here to learn and share things. You can start by connecting to me. It will be a pleasure to discuss these kind of things with you. Okay? And in the end, of course, there is the tools. You can look for the tools that can help you answer your questions and do what you are expecting, not the other way around. So, to end, firstly, monitoring is essential to do DevOps. The 3 ways, if you recall, it's all about being able to audit things and generate data, use data as a feedback loop, and then in the end, use data to learn. This can only be made with data, so we have to collect it, we have to monitor to collect the data so we can observe. As I said, it's very little about the tools, and I'm sorry, my friends, this never ends, okay? We will always have work because there is always new things, new releases, and other kind of things. So, thank you a lot. It was a pleasure.